Manx Radio's Update with Christian Jones.
Fastamai, good evening. It's Tuesday the 8th of April and this is Manx Radio's Update. Welcome into 30 minutes of all the latest news, sport and travel compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's newsroom. Tonight, Manx Care has spent more than £400,000 on off-island recruitment firms since taking over the island's health service. It's been revealed that government has given a loan of £2.2 million to the island's private school. And if you're an aspiring music artist, stay with us. We'll be hearing about a new series of talks exploring pathways into the music industry. As always, do get in touch if you want to comment on anything you hear. Text WhatsApp 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. First of all, though, 1 minute past 5, let's join Chanel Suku for a roundup of the latest news headlines.
Fastamai. Manx Care has spent more than £400,000 with off-island recruitment firms since it took charge of the island's health services 4 years ago. The figure has been released in response to a Freedom of Information request from Manx Radio more than 7 months after the FOI was submitted. MHKs have described their absolute shock that government has given £2.2 million to a private education facility in the Isle of Man. Enterprise Minister Tim Johnston confirmed that the repayable grant has been awarded to King William's College under his department's financial assistance scheme.
And the school's local spend is also significant, estimated over £2.8 million per year in the local economy.
And the Department of Infrastructure has confirmed a 5-day dredging programme is to take place in Douglas Outer Harbour from next Friday. As a result, the steam packet company has made a number of changes to its published schedule to avoid low water conditions. In international news, Sir Keir Starmer signalled that he's not open to trading away access to the NHS as part of any deal with the US. The UK Prime Minister told senior MPs that he's committed to supporting business after Donald Trump slapped high taxes on goods going to America. Teen accounts are being rolled out to Facebook and Messenger. They're already on Instagram as part of efforts to increase parental controls. And Meghan's told her podcast that she suffered with a rare and scary condition after giving birth. She revealed a diagnosis of postpartum preeclampsia. Those are your headlines. News at 6.
Thanks, Chanel. Right, weather now brought to you by Manx Glass and Glazing. Continuing dry and sunny this evening, then with clear skies overnight. Light winds and minimum temperatures down to around 5 or 6 degrees Celsius, but colder in a few inland spots with a touch of frost likely again. Another fine and dry day tomorrow with plenty of sunshine, moderate to fresh northeast winds, easing light in the afternoon and temperatures of up to around 15 degrees Celsius.
Manx Glass and Glazing can supply and install single, double and triple glazing. Call 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
If you run a small business or just need more room in the back, Philshore Vehicles has the perfect van or light commercial for all your needs and can sort out any finance. Based in the Tremode Estate, view philshorevehicles.im or call 49 51 49.
A great night's sleep got even better with Zed's Bedding Store. From quality Bell-Dorm bed linen and mattress protectors, fleece and woven throws to luxury duvets from the fine bedding company, Zed's Bedding Ramsey, next to Isle of Man Bank.
SMS Trading have moved to 3 St Paul's Square, Ramsey. For flat pack to fully built, new or second-hand furniture, SMS Trading offer all-island delivery and man-in-a-van service. Call 315151 or find SMS Trading on Facebook.
At Begode Cattery, we have been caring for animals for over 50 years. As a cattery, we care for customers' cats and treat them as our own. Contact Begode Cattery on 676 947 or find Begode Cattery on Facebook.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
4 minutes past 5, and as we've just been hearing, Manx Care has spent more than £400,000 with off-island recruitment firms since it took charge of the island's health service 4 years ago. The figure has been released in response to a Freedom of Information request from Manx Radio. The details from Sean Cowper.
In its first year of operation, Manx Care confirmed using off-island recruitment companies had cost almost £75,000, increasing to more than £135,000 the following year. This dropped to £86,000 for the 2023 to 24 financial year, while the spend for 24-25 was over £111,000. Manx Radio also asked how often Manx Care had used an off-island recruitment firm since it came into existence, but the board said it didn't hold this information. A document entitled Recruitment Agency Engagement Guidance Framework, supplied as part of the response to the FOI request, stresses that public bodies should think about whether they've exhausted all opportunities to fill a vacancy using in-house recruiters before turning to an agency, which can be a costly option. However, it recognises that there are specific areas of expertise where cost-effective recruitment agency use is appropriate, particularly in areas where there are national or international shortages. The guidance goes on to say continued reliance on external recruitment markets can be a risky strategy, and urges those with vacancies to consider medium to longer term options for future vacancies. Manx Care's response comes more than 7 months after the FOI was submitted.
Sean Cowper with that report there. Let's stay with health now, because the Isle of Man Medical Society says government must prove taxpayers are getting excellent value for money before asking for more funding for health and social care. It follows strong opposition from the organisation to proposals for a new NHS levy on the island. Treasury is currently consulting on the idea, though any levy wouldn't actually be introduced until the 2027-28 financial year at the very earliest. Siobhan Fletcher has sat down with two senior clinicians, Dr Prakash Tyagarajan and Dr Vanina Finocchi, who say services should be funded through general taxation and that better financial management is essential.
I don't think we are absolutely sure that we are getting the best value that we can, considering we do spend more than most jurisdictions on health. And it's like we sort of view this as trying to fill a bathtub with the drain not plugged in.
Since I've been here, it's nearly 10 years. We've tried it all. It's repetitive, the same thing. It's either external people that come and tell us how we're supposed to be doing things, or people that are working in high-level managerial roles that assess what we're doing. But yet I have to see a second of listening to the doctors and to the people that are actually working in the front line. So why not give it a try before we start taxing people an extra amount?
At the core of all this, I suppose, in terms of this healthcare levy, in terms of going forward, in terms of restructuring and everything, the message I'm getting from you both is that actually you just want to see that doctor's opinion put at the forefront here.
The healthcare system cost probably much less 4 or 5 years ago. Since the inception of Manx Care, in 4 years, we probably spend a third more, several millions more. But as a frontline worker, I have not seen any incredible increase in services. I mean, we all know that actually at the moment we're talking about reducing services, reducing the clinical bit of it. So I did ask and I said, can somebody explain me where does money, I mean, where did it, by all means, increase in medicine, increase in costs, for sure COVID was. But my question, and it is really a genuine question, is that where it all went? Because in my department on the front line, I haven't seen this incredible increase in services.
That's Doctors Prakash Tyagarajan and Vanina Finocchi speaking to Siobhan there. Now, it's Tuesday, so that means it's the House of Keys, and the Health Minister has been answering an urgent question on breast cancer clinics. It's after Manx Care admitted services would not be running as smoothly as hoped due to staffing issues. The health body has had a vacant breast radiologist post since June 2024, and a covering locum took an unplanned short absence starting from the 31st of March, which is expected to last 4 weeks. Minister Claire Christian explains what impact that's had so far.
Manx Care Breast Services had clinics set up for Monday and Tuesday of this week in anticipation of offering a one-stop service which provides patients with a comprehensive clinic assessment. Within this cohort, several patients required biopsies, and these affected patients had their clinic appointments cancelled and moved to Thursday of this week, a delay of 3 days. The remaining patients within this cohort were seen by Manx Care's surgical team and clinically assessed. Any remaining patients who require radiology scans are having these performed next Saturday morning. To date, approximately 30 patients have been affected by the above changes. all of whom have been contacted. As at yesterday, the average waiting time for the first outpatient appointment on the 7th of April 2025 was just over 4 weeks, 29 days. This is outside the faster diagnostic standard of 28 days agreed by the Department and Manx Care and adopted more widely in other jurisdictions such as England. As a longer-term solution, Manx Care recruited a breast radiologist in March 2025 who will be in place early summer 2025, subject to the usual recruitment processes.
Minister Claire Christian there. And let's stick with the House of Keys because the Enterprise Minister has confirmed a £2.2 million repayable grant has been awarded to King William's College through his department's Financial Assistance Scheme. Tim Johnston stressed the funding is not to cover recent VAT changes, but is instead intended to support structural changes at the school.
So what I can say is that there has been a repayable grant given to King William's College on that basis, £2.2 million repayable grant, recognising the fact that this is a school or an employer, the largest, if not the largest in the south of the island, employing over 185 staff. Which gives over £1.3 million per year of direct exchequer benefit. And the school's local spend is also significant, estimated over £2.8 million per year in the local economy. And in addition to that, it is estimated that the international boarding students spend approximately £1 million per year in the local economy. The investment that's going to go on the site will also bring one-off a construction benefit of around over £400,000. So as the overall package, I'm satisfied, as I say, through the Financial Assistance Scheme and the Enterprise Act, that the department is in a strong position to be able to do that. Clearly, I appreciate that it's a sensitive subject. We certainly had wide-ranging discussions within the department on it with members. We did make changes to that, and of course, also it was also a decision through Treasury and their board, and that is the process that's been gone through to reach that decision.
You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
12 minutes past 5 now, and a newly elected member of the Legislative Council has missed the deadline to declare his personal interests as required under Tynwald rules. Siobhan Fletcher joins us now. First of my, Siobhan, just take us through what's happened here.
First of my, Christian. Yes, so Peter Reid, who was elected to the Legislative Council on the 4th of March, was required to submit his declaration of interests by the 4th of April. That's 1 month, in line with Tynwald's standing orders. However, his submission wasn't made until after Manx Radio contacted him on the 7th of April.
So what exactly are members expected to declare here?
Well, they're expected to register basically any personal interests that could reasonably be seen to influence their work in Tynwald. That includes things like roles in organisations, business connections, or any other external involvement that could present a potential conflict of interest. The idea is to maintain transparency, both for political colleagues and the public.
And has Mr. Reid responded?
He provided a brief statement saying his interests have now been submitted and that they are in the process of being added to the website. It's also worth noting that in his first political sitting, Mr. Reid voted in favour of a motion requiring all future Legislative Council candidates to declare their interests before standing for election.
OK, and just for those who aren't aware, why is registering interests important and why does it actually matter?
Well, registering interests isn't just about public transparency, it's also there to protect politicians themselves. By making any external link clear from the outset, it avoids accusations of conflicts of interest later down the line and ensures decision-making can be seen to be fair and impartial.
Right, and has there been any comment from any other Tynwald officials?
Well, we contacted the Clerk of Tynwald, who's responsible for overseeing the register of members' interests. However, he has declined to comment.
OK, thank you for that update, Siobhan.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
A few things to be aware of today on the roads. The mountain road is closed between the bungalow and the Cregnabar until Friday. Next week from Monday, the road will close from the bungalow to Ramsey, and that'll be in place 24 hours a day, but businesses on the mountain will be open as normal. In Greeba, temporary lights on the main roads at Gorsley for road repairs. In Onken, temporary lights on King Edward Road near the Majestic Drive turn. And in Douglas, temporary lights on Summer Hill near the bottom of the hill 24 hours a day for gas work. In Quegg until the 16th of April, so that is next Wednesday, temporary lights on the Old Castletown Road near the brewery for wastewater upgrade work. Of course, though, if there is anything you spot while you're out and about, do let us know. Text 166 177 or email studio@manxradio.com. Over at the Steam Packet, there is something to be aware of actually, and the Department of Infrastructure has confirmed a 5-day dredging programme is going to be taking place in Douglas Outer Harbour from next Friday. Also, in the meantime, the Steam Packet company has made a number of changes to its published schedule to avoid low water conditions, and those changes will be in place from tomorrow. If you want to find out more details about that, head on over to manxradio.com. And quick look at the airport. Nothing I'm seeing there on the arrivals or departures board, so everything is looking good.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside. You're listening to the Isle of Man's quintessential daily news and current affairs roundup. Update on Manx Radio.
15 minutes past 5 now, and an online incident over the weekend has raised questions about the safety of Tynwald members and what's considered acceptable language when discussing current affairs. It's after an online poll on Facebook suggested the Infrastructure Minister should be removed from her position with a shotgun. Michelle Hayward says people are entitled to start up a petition to have her sacked, but questioned if it was acceptable to threaten violence. Lewis Foster has been speaking to the president of Tynwald, Lawrence Skelly, about the pitfalls of social media.
I was shocked, quite frankly. Social media, I think, as we all know, can be a very dangerous and toxic environment, but it is absolutely double-edged because it's a great shame because social media is a powerful tool for good and bad. And sadly, of course, the way the algorithms work, if you like something, you'll get to see more like-minded people. If you dislike something, that will fuel other people. This has obviously escalated, and it's as I say, it's quite shocking.
Following the murder of Southend MP David Amos in 2021, you said this brought the issue of personal security into sharp focus at the time. Is that bringing back to mind now? Has that been a concern over the last few years?
Oh, increasingly. So politicians, of course, are accustomed to criticism. And in the old days, that would be that people would either call or they'd phone or they'd email, even meet in the street, because our MHKs and politicians here on the Isle of Man are very accessible. And they enjoy that access because then they can hear and listen to what people's concerns are. But it's not all criticism, I might point out. But now I think with the seeing what's happened across the world, actually, with regards to politicians and the danger that they put themselves in if they're not careful. So we, as the Officer of Tynwald, have actually issued a members' security guidance. So as when they do engage with the general public, their constituents, that they consider, and a lot of these things are straightforward common sense issues, that they meet in a public place, for example. And we strongly recommend that they use the commissioners because they're very supportive with regards to the national politicians. So it is actually having that in mind when you're actually meeting people. So you do have to be very conscious of it.
That's President of Tynwald, Lawrence Skelly, speaking to Lewis Foster there. What are your thoughts on that? 166 177, or you can email studio@manxradio.com. Approaching 19 minutes past 5, and a candidate standing for the upcoming election in Castletown hopes to create a business plan to run the local authority and would like to see a totally new board voted in. This is John Kringle we're talking about. He's a former Castletown commissioner. He's been outspoken about the winter closure of Market Square and says a plan is needed during the summer and for the temporary closures during the winter.
Hearing how the board operates is structured. We're in the 21st century now. Castletown is a business, however you like it. We have revenue, we have expenditure, and What we have is a need to develop businesses. So I believe the opportunity here is for a totally new board to come in, and it is the opportunity to change the way it's structured. So it takes more of a business approach. So you control your revenue, you control your expenditure, you have a strategy. Now, we're in a position where we have the 5th highest rate on the island. Within Castletown, we own significant assets. We could use those commercially to mitigate future increases. So if I was lucky enough to be elected, I would propose developing a business with a commercial strategy, which would utilise the assets of the town, and those people using them would make a financial contribution.
What are the key things on your manifesto that you'd like people to take note of?
So I think a new board, it needs to be far more progressive in its ability to challenge government. We've got a delay on phase 2, the housing at School Hill. Costs will be rising and only Castletown is suffering. There seems to be an air of lethargy in this is government's problem. No, it's not. It's Castletown's problem. And Castletown needs to take the lead on it. The sheltered accommodation in Castletown was built by the town for the town. As a board member, the allocation of houses has now been handed over to a Southern Housing Board. So I would be pressing, if elected, to urgently return that to our control.
John Kringle speaking to local democracy reporter Emma Draper there. And the other candidates are Tony Brown, Beth Cannon, William Galley, Colin Leather, Alan Leonard, Mahendra Kumar Patel, Carol Quine and Lawrence Watterson. Now it's 20 minutes past 5, and are you an upcoming music artist? Over the next few months, a collection of talks on pathways into music are going to be hosted by the Isle of Man Arts Council graduate Callum Rowe, as well as guests from the industry on the island. They'll cover the varying routes and skills needed to make it into the music business in the modern world. Callum has been speaking to Howard Kane.
According to Spotify, it's 120,000 hours either every day or every year, I'm not sure, of music that's put onto their platform, which is crazy. That's more than you can listen to in a day, obviously. I think that really to be able to shout and use your voice the best way you can, you just need to identify your niche and identify your kind of unique selling points, what you can offer. I wanted to put this project together from a standpoint of growing up over here, kind of learning music over here, then going away to study at the Royal Northern College of Music.
You've got some sessions, I know you've already done 1 or 2 sessions, but you've got some more sessions coming up talking to individuals within the music industry to actually sort of hear from them, hear from their experiences. Tell us a little bit about those. I think the next one, if I'm right, is on the 24th of April with Lenny Conroy.
Yes, so local gig promoter and director of Triskel Promotions, Lenny Conroy. A lot of you all know and love Lenny. So this session is going to be all about gig promotion and how to plan events on the island specifically. So if you're wanting to put any kind of musical event on, this would be for you. It's also going to be about general event management and advice outside of music. So this can be all about licensing, how to work with different venues, stuff like this. So even if your event you're going to be putting on isn't specifically music oriented, still come down and check it out.
Callum Rowe speaking to Howard there, and you can find more on that conversation on this week's Spotlight programme tomorrow night at 5:30. Now, the island's fire service has issued fresh warnings to motorists, saying poor parking and careless driving could delay crews responding to emergencies. It follows a rise in incidents where fire engines have struggled to access streets and several near misses involving drivers using the Douglas Station forecourt to turn around. The service says every second counts when lives are at risk and is calling on the public to think before they park. Richard Little is from the fire prevention team.
Fire can spread incredibly quickly, but also the medical response that ourselves and the ambulance crews can administer, and it can make a difference between life and death. So do ask to park considerately, even if it might involve you having to walk a few extra 100 metres to get home. It's worth it in the long run. Fire in a normal bedroom can go from a spark to fully engulfing the entire room in about 3 minutes. So with that in mind, that can make a really significant difference. The same with medical response. Someone needs CPR for the sake of a couple of minutes. It can mean a significant difference.
Do you find it frustrating, disappointing that this is something that you still have to talk about and you still have to ask people?
I understand that people might think, oh, it's not an issue. If the fire engine comes out, I'll just get out of the way. But it's not just that. It's people are working in that area, and it only takes it to happen once. Someone gets hit and it's going to cause some significant damage getting hit by a car, as I'm sure you can imagine. And it has nearly happened a couple of times.
24 minutes past 5 now, and with the latest sport is Rob Pritchard. First am I. Mastermind Christian, starting with motorsport, and Manx Autosport is calling for volunteers to help make sure this weekend's Manx Rally goes ahead on the island. The organisation is calling for marshals, radio operators and timekeepers to sign up ahead of the 2025 meeting taking place this Friday and Saturday. Well, a series of signing on sessions for volunteer roles will take place over the next 3 days at the TT Grandstand. Event director Mark Ellison says it's vital they don't just get people to help out now, but that there's also the next generation willing to fill positions in the long term to ensure the meeting survives.
A lot of us, including myself, are getting older, and some nearly my age are just saying, well, where's the young ones? And it's not just the sport that I follow. I think if you had a look at everybody else's sport, they will tell you the same thing. The generation below us just aren't there. I was talking to a clerk of the course, and he's the youngest one that I'm aware of, and he's 42. But in the UK, you have them a lot younger than that. But here on the island, we don't.
Well, signing on sessions are taking place at the Mike Halewood Centre behind the TT Grandstand in Douglas today, tomorrow and Thursday. Each session is taking place between 4pm and 7:30pm, and those attending should bring proof of their MS UK licence. Elsewhere, athletics, and USA-based Manx athlete David Malarkey has broken the Isle of Man men's 10,000 metre track record. Representing University of Northern Arizona at the Stanford Invitational meeting in California last weekend, he posted a time in his race of 27 minutes 51.80 seconds to finish third. Well, that time is more than 35 seconds faster than the previous Isle of Man men's record over that distance of 28 minutes 27.03 seconds that was set by Keith Gerrard all the way back in 2011. And this result comes only a week after the women's 10,000 metre record was smashed by Sarah Astin, also in California. And finally in football, Corinthians have won the 2024-25 Canada Life Women's League title. The Douglas-based side secured the silverware following a 1-1 draw against defending champions Peel at Bella Fletcher. Needing just a draw to claim the honours, Corinthians found themselves behind in the first half as Pippa Wallace fired Peel into the lead on 38 minutes. Holly Stephen then equalised for Corinthians just before half-time. Claiming what is now their 10th top-flight crown, Corinthians' success follows on from winning this season's Women's FA Cup against Malou on Sunday the 16th of March. Fabulous, thank you so much for that, Rob. And that is it for Update this evening. Thanks to newsreader Chanel Suku, and also thanks to you for joining us. Lots more on the way for you this evening, though. Simon Clark and Kerry Kermode are up next with Countryside. Then Chris Kinley has Greatest Hits from 6 o'clock. John Barker's Folk Show at 9 o'clock for an hour before Dave Moore takes the hot seat with After Hours at 10. I'll be back with you on Update tomorrow, so until then, take care, bye-bye for now.